The ego likes to attach itself to things and ideas. He is looking for something that will give him an advantage on which he can rely because he cannot exist alone, independently. He has to lean on something, like on a crutch. The ego likes to possess, take sides, to group or to seek importance by attaching itself and to feed itself on that same attachment. That's why we all rely so much on external affirmations of value like beauty, finance, property, title, position at work, family, or anything, depending on the situation and environment. Because the ego speaks in the language of fear that without these crutches, we are nothing and nobody. When our ego gets attached, the ground for conflict is created. Ego conflict, because there is always another person's ego that is attached to another thing or idea. When my ego concluded that my religion is more important than someone else's, that my country, my city, time, opinion, belief, car, everything that is mine is more important than someone else's. And in a conflict, the truth is first to fall. Truth about anything, and in the end, also about ourselves. The ego likes to attach itself to material things, which makes us their slave. When we desire to prove ourselves and stand out by owning things, let's listen to our fear of freedom. Because what if we don't have a new handbag or watch, branded clothes, and the most beautiful house? And what if we are not popular and have a successful life? Then we are nobody and nothing because our ego depends on these external validations. This ego manifestation is one of the modern society's main problems. It is so widespread that the amount of material things determines our value in society. It is not only acceptable, but even encouraged, and there is a wider social consensus that this ego challenge is, in fact, a role model to which we must aspire. And thus, these things begin to possess us. There is no greater substitution of thesis in human history. Needless to say, this is an ego challenge that the entire modern society will have to face at some point. And we can do that only by changing ourselves. Like emotions, awareness and conscience are contagious. By making ourselves aware, we make society aware and change our reality. It is extremely important to note that we don't ignore the material world and the need for modern life for material things and self-realization. We just distinguish the motive from which the above is important to us. It's not the same if we consider a car as a means of transportation and a today's necessity, taking into account traffic safety, or if we consider it a status symbol. That's the only difference. Far more dangerous from attachment to things is ego attachment to ideas or creating beliefs. Beliefs are the deadliest ego challenge. No ego challenge has claimed more human lives and destroyed more people. When our ego gets attached to an idea, depending on the strength of the ego, it will do everything it can to give importance to that idea and defend it, even at the cost of its life. Because the importance of an idea increases its own importance and ego satisfaction, regardless of the idea itself. It is completely irrelevant. The ego will attach to the first one that comes near him. And Hitler imposed his idea because he was attached to it. Is it possible that the ego attachment to some idea is to blame for the Second World War? For the idea of social organization, the importance of the state, or who is valuable and who is not? Or actually, did every war started because of ego attachment? That is why it is important not to get attached and choose the right path in life, because by getting attached, we lose the truth and our path. And it is not such big and rigid beliefs that are problematic. Life beliefs, such as I'm a victim or I'm a lone wolf, are also challenging. But we can neither be victims nor lone wolf. We simply don't know who we are, and we attach ourselves to our own idea of being a victim or a lone wolf, and we believe it. We believe this idea and the whole life that comes with that idea. Thus, we remain imprisoned in it, limited by our fears and beliefs, limited in the view of ourselves and the environment, and in all the things we will never know, and the love we will never comprehend. And our thoughts, completely unconscious beliefs, such as, I certainly won't succeed, happiness is for others, or the worst little belief, I can't do it. In the end, we do start to believe it, and we really don't succeed. The point? We don't need to identify with anything or anyone. We alone are enough. We alone are everything. Strength comes from that independence, not from the group. Mature people can exist alone without attachment to things or ideas. And it's not a problem if we love our country, city, family, or work. Just don't get attached to that idea and don't look for value, identity, and validation through it. The truth is that we and our maturation are important, and everything we attach to is irrelevant. It is only there to help us mature. Our ideas, spouse, children, work, and all other life circumstances are there so that we can learn something through them, not to seek our value and support. By the same principle, we are also in their lives as something through which they should learn and not get attached to us. When we understand and realize the irrelevance of the ego, we will realize love and our infinity. Who am I? A universal question identified with spirituality, even though it's just a question that should lead us to become aware of our ego attachments, discard them, and mature emotionally. When we don't belong to a thing or a belief, we can be free and belong to anything. Only when we are not attached, we are able to love. Procrastination and indecisiveness. It is exclusively our decision which life we will live, and ego fears prevents us from making those same decisions. Because of them, we always avoid the truth and postpone difficult decisions that always come back to us in even more difficult form. It is difficult for us, and we are afraid of the outcome, so we are indecisive and procrastinate, sometimes forever. Jobs we need to finish, decisions we need to implement, unresolved relationship we need to resolve, awkward conversations we need to have, and hundreds of other truths. And every procrastination costs us maturation and keeps us in a state of ego. How many times in life have we procrastinated difficult decisions that we instinctively knew were right? Procrastination and indecisiveness cost because we delayed the maturation of our soul. I trained myself specifically in making decisions. It took me time because it wasn't natural to me. I knew rationally that it was necessary and right, and because of that, I fought my own fears and procrastinations with every decision. And with every decision, I'd rather make a mistake than procrastinate and be indecisive. And I forgave myself for every mistake and learned something from each, even the smallest one. I did what was right regardless of cost. And each time the fears and indecisiveness were quieter. They never really completely disappear in the real world, but they are not limiting, they just keep me alerted. We resent when we don't have the courage to change and leave, but don't have the strength to forgive. We live in the impossibility of forgiveness and the feeling we felt when we were betrayed. We certainly cannot influence whether someone will deceive or betray us. But we can influence, as always, how we will react to it. If we sincerely love, regardless of what someone has done, we can decide to live in love for that person because, for example, they did it for the first time, forgive them and forget about it. Or if we conclude that this person no longer deserves our love because he has been selfish too many times, we have the right to leave. And in both cases, we will be right. And in both cases, we will further silence our ego. We will get another experience for our soul and remove the veil of ego fears and emotions from our eyes. If we make a brave and mature decision based on the truth, and it is true to forgive and to live, and we live with that decision of ours, whatever it is, without any further unnecessary thoughts about it. The only thing not right is from weakness to stay and resent. This pattern is the same in the process of making all life decisions. To make a right decision for everyone involved, including ourselves, regardless of the price that always exists. In this case, it would be loneliness that many fear. And the bigger the challenge, the higher the cost of overcoming it. Because if there was no price for overcoming the challenge itself would not exist. This common ego challenge driven by fear of loneliness or conflict is the basic reason for all bad relationships on the planet. If there were no ego fears, no one would stay in a relationship in which there is no love. Can you imagine what the world would look like if every person sought love for themselves and others? The ego said to love, "When you take everything from me, leave me only doubt." The main destroyer of ideas and actions, doubt in oneself, reality, and even bare facts. Nothing is spared from doubt. Maybe that's not true. Maybe others are right. Maybe I shouldn't. It certainly won't work. Maybe they laugh at me. 1,000 maybes. As we doubt reality and ourselves, we create our suffering. There is no greater inhibitor of action than doubt. I needed a lot of maturity to get rid of my self-doubt and to believe I deserved an extraordinary life in peace and love. Because if we don't believe that we deserve love and a life full of abundance, no one will convince us. Doubt is one step to clarity. Each of the ego challenges is a clear and defined step, unlike doubt, which acts like a fog that clouds a person to hide the truth. Because a step to the truth stands one big maybe. We will never have a proof of the truth. We will have to decide when we will believe ourselves. And for this, we need faith. Faith in our path is the cure for doubt. If we doubt that extraordinary life is possible, we will never experience it. It is so simple to understand the power of doubt. It takes tremendous courage to suppress doubt because we can easily mistake that same courage for arrogance. That's why, as always, the truth is gentle and will always guide us and dispel doubt. Is it what we plan to do right and true? Are we acting out of creativity and not out of ego? If we realize that we just want to create and we don't act out of fear, then let's go. Everything after that is just our courage, and there is no need for additional limiting thoughts and doubts. Life works in such a way that if we act selflessly, everything will surely be fine. My name is Zoran Salopek, and in the next episode we will talk about ego fear.